In this video, we'll prepare a Week 3 cash lineup on DraftKings and a Week 3 cash lineup on FanDuel, and we'll also go over a free entry NFL DFS contest where the weekly prize is $200, and it's all coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, couple weeks down. What do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's talk real quickly about our free NFL DFS contest. Guys, if you are not in this, you've got to join. There was only like 52, 53 people. Your chances to win either 100 for first place, 50 for second, and 25 for third is really high. Go ahead and join. Quick reminder to do that, go to dfshub.com/FFC. You can sign up for one of their paid accounts or a free account. So no money to enter if that's the way you want to go. And then go to their free contest. All right, so let's take a look at week 2. Michael, let's give it up to Tom, who pulled out the victory easily, 9 points over longtime FFC viewer Scott Baylor, and third place goes to Glenn Brown. Congratulations to Tom, Scott, and Glenn. So we got some exciting news here at the FFC. If we take a look at week 1, Michael, we had a score correction, and I pulled it out with the gold medal for week 1. Rick and Timothy had the silver and bronze. So let's see. We got to get back to it in week 3. Let's talk about week 3. We're going to go over the common players that we like on both FanDuel and DraftKings, and there's several of them. And I'd like to start with Raheem Mostert. You know, it is all about opportunities when it comes to daily fantasy football, and you love the opportunities that Mostert is getting. He got 18 carries last week and 121 yards. No other running back got more than 3 carries last week. And you love the fact that he plays with Tua. Why do I say that? Tua is someone that is able to move the ball down the field, but at the same time, he doesn't vulture by running the ball. So you can expect that Mostert will get plenty of carries in a great game environment. He is a home favorite, 6.5 points with a ridiculously high 27.25 implied total. He's 6,000 on DraftKings and 6,600 on FanDuel. Michael, what a bargain that we can get that and opens it up for other guys.
Yeah, and it's opening it up for a guy I want to make sure we get in there. We've talked about him, who's a similarly in a great matchup, a big favorite, Tony Pollard. The Cowboys playing against Arizona this week. Arizona obviously has been atrocious in terms of how they've just let people run over them. And Tony Pollard, similar, he gets a lot of opportunities. Good week 1, including getting in the end zone a couple of times. An even better week 2 in terms of opportunities. He had 25 run attempts, 8 targets, 7 of which he caught. His points weren't quite as high, but he's averaging almost 19 fantasy points. And his pricing is $9,400 on FanDuel, only $8,000 on DraftKings. Again, somebody who gets a lot of touches, has a lot of upside, and a very high floor. I feel like we got to get Pollard in this week with that matchup against Arizona. Sound good to you?
No, I love it. I love it. And another guy that I really like this week is Amari Cooper. He gets a dream matchup at home against Tennessee, the same Tennessee Titans that are pretty strong against the run, but are terrible against the pass. He is $5,700 on DraftKings, $6,200 on FanDuel. He came off a groin injury, but he still led all Cleveland receivers in targets, in receptions, in receiving yards. And I expect his role to be even more important with the real tragic loss of their star running back, Nick Chubb. Happy to get Cooper in on this ridiculously low price, especially on FanDuel.
Yeah, you keep making it nice for me, Eric, with these guys with better bargains. Let's also add Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is 9,700 on FanDuel and 9,300 on DraftKings. Obviously, kind of cream of the crop. But why? He's getting the most yards of anyone week in and week out. In fact, he gets the same yards each week. He gets you on average in FanDuel almost 20 fantasy points without even getting in the end zone. Let's get him in the end zone this week against the worst passing defense in the league right now. Yeah, last year the Chargers might have been a little bit more vulnerable on the run, but right now they're vulnerable at the pass. And Justin Jefferson is by far Kirk Cousins #1, and by far, on pace to be the leading receiver once again. Highest upside, I think, in the league, and probably highest floor in the league. Let's get him in there.
Yeah, I love getting exposure to this game. I mean, 54.5 over and under, but only a 1-point spread. The recipe for a shootout. So great job. The last guy that we have in common in both our FanDuel and DraftKings lineup is Zay Flowers. He's $5,400 on DraftKings and $6,300 on FanDuel. He passes the eye test, Michael, for me. This guy, look, he is a rookie. He was their first round pick. He's sensational. He is by far their best pass catcher, just talent-wise. Now, they still have Mark Andrews, and Andrews didn't play in week 1 and played in week 2, and not surprisingly, it cut a little bit into Flowers' production, which is why we're able to get him at these still bargain prices. But here's the deal. As a proud owner, or maybe not so proud owner, in Fantasy League of Lamar Jackson, he has only averaged 203 passing yards so far in first 2 games. That's going to go up, especially with DK Dobbins now completely out. They're going to rely more on the passing game, and I expect Zay Flowers to be the beneficiary. Keep in mind that Baltimore faces the Indianapolis Colts, the same Colt team that let rookie CJ Stroud just toss 384 yards against him. So I'm looking for Flowers to pay off on this relatively low salary.
Yeah, no, like the rapport that they have between the quarter Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. So I think that's a good core. Should we jump into FanDuel and see what the rest of the lineup looks like?
Sounds great. Okay, everybody, the rest of our cash lineup really goes on the principle of trying to maximize opportunities. And we'll start at quarterback with Trevor Lawrence. Look, he's got a nice fat 26.5 implied total. He is a home favorite, 9.5 points against the Houston Texans, who have let's just face it, a terrible secondary so far this year. Gardner Minshew chopped him up in backup duty after Richardson ran all over them. Minshew was 19 for 23 for 171 yards. I expect Trevor Lawrence to have a big day here. So he has struggled so far this year. Let's be clear, as we can see, but that's why we're getting such a good price, $7,600 on him. I have no concerns about Lawrence's true talent in the NFL, and man, what a great connection he has with Calvin Ridley. All right, so from there, we're going to talk about we've covered all the wide receivers, so let's go straight to tight end. Zach Ertz. Look, if I told you that a tight end in 2 weeks averaged 9 targets, you wouldn't believe me that he was $5,100. Now, I get it. He faces a very tough defense in the Dallas Cowboys, but it's all about targets and opportunities at tight end. And Joshua Dobbs clearly has a connection with him, so I'm going to get Zach Ertz in the lineup.
Yeah, I like that. I think that look for some additional fantasy points for him in a week where they're going to be coming back from behind.
All right. And then finally, Isaiah Pacheco. Man, what a great game script that Pacheco has. He is a home favorite, 13.5 points over the lowly Chicago Bears, a massive 31 implied total. against a Bears defense that has really struggled so far out of the gate. What you like to see about Pacheco is he got 12 carries for 70 yards. He has become the clear back. Look, all other rushers last week combined for -2 rushing yards. So clearly Kansas City is going to pass behind Mahomes and now a healthy Travis Kelce. But game script wise, I think Pacheco should get a lion's share of work. And 5,700 is just way too cheap for him on FanDuel. And finally, the last one is Minnesota is at $3,300. Look, we don't like spending up on a defense. So do we like Minnesota? No, it's a punt defense. But when we compare the other defenses around Minnesota, we get a home team that is basically a pick 'em. The Chargers will likely not have Austin Eckler. So they're going to be throwing. And when you throw the ball, that's where all interceptions happen. That's when all sacks happen and when a majority of fumbles happen. So they had 4 sacks last week. As a punt defense, I like Minnesota.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, you got to look at your options. Nice punt defense. Like it, Eric.
All right, so just one simple punt. If you're not feeling Zach Ertz, we have $100 left over. You can shift to Sam Laporta, the rookie tight end on Detroit, who's playing at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Just be careful. The Falcons love to run the ball, so it's a very they have a very slow pace. So there's going to be less opportunities than normal for Detroit, but it's a great option if you don't like Ertz.
Okay, Eric, on DraftKings, we're going to start with our 5 common at the quarterback position. We like the price tag that we can get from Minshew. You know, he's way down here on the list, but he's going to be starting this week with Anthony Richardson on the concussion protocol. Minshew's, 8.5 point dog against that Baltimore Ravens. We already talked about that game. So they're going to be throwing, coming from behind. And you saw, he only was in there for part of the game, but he was extremely accurate, 82%. He doesn't necessarily have the weapons, but he's, he can be sharp. I'm sure he's going to have some pressure. Maybe he'll throw a couple of an interception or two, but I think the yards will be high. He'll find a way to get in the end zone, and at a $5,100 price tag, I feel like it allows us to do a few other things. Obviously, smaller salary on DraftKings, so we got to have a couple of bargains. Anything you want to add on Minshew?
No, it's just I love the bargain, and Michael Pittman just texted me and didn't appreciate you saying he didn't have weapons.
Okay, so next spot for us is the running back position. We're going to take advantage of the fact that Jerome Ford is now the lead dog in Cleveland, with unfortunately Nick Chubb being out for the season. You guys saw what he did on Monday night. I'm sure you all watched that game. It was a great defensive battle, but the one shining spot for the Browns on the offensive side of the ball was Jerome Ford. Obviously a monster game. Even as a backup coming into that game, not only was he featured with a nice long run, he was featured on the passing side, and they just don't really have options right now. They may be marching out there to get other players, but he's not only going to be the workhorse on the running side of the ball. I think he's going to get a lot of the passing opportunities, and he actually is a pretty good receiving back. Now I know Tennessee, you might say, can be a tough foe against the run. That is correct, but I think the bargain makes him worth it. I think he's going to really take advantage of the fact that he's going to be really a 3-down back for a couple of weeks until they can figure things out in Cleveland. Anything to add on, Jerome?
No.
Okay, so we've talked about our receivers, so that takes us to tight end. Again, we're out of money here, so common theme for us is how can we save dollars. we're going to talk about Luke Musgrove going up against the New Orleans Saints, who, you know, have not necessarily been great against tight ends, but they do have a great defensive backfield. And so when you are throwing the ball against the Saints, you're going to probably want to throw to the tight end. And I see that, you know, he's got some upside potential. I think the floor is pretty good, again, that given that Green Bay is really tough. I'm sorry, New Orleans is really tough on wideouts. But let's face it, this is taking advantage of the pricing. Eric, I know you had some say on us picking Musgrave, so I'm going to give you a moment to just add your thoughts on him.
You know, he's a rookie, and he's only going to get better as he establishes a relationship with Jordan Love. They came off a tough game against Atlanta, where Atlanta just plays keep away, running the ball all the time. But, you know, we've seen Love throw a 300-yard game so far. So I just think his price is too cheap, and our 5 common players on DraftKings are expensive. So you filled the lineup with some great bargains. They just need to give us a decent floor. They don't have to be breakout stars.
Yeah, and he's really the sole target. I mean, I think it might be tempting to look at the Buffalo against Washington for tight ends, but they got 2 of them, right? And they're priced very similarly. You know, we could afford Knox. You know, if we didn't win a little different route on defense, we could get Kincaid. You know, both of them have averaged a little bit higher each week than Musgrave. So there's an option there for you as you know, if you don't like going with Musgrave. But I think Jordan Love, you know, has been looking, you know, okay, and so like that option. So from a defense perspective, we can only afford the Colts, Cardinals, or the Bears. If we went with Dalton with Knox, you could get the Broncos, but I'm not sure I like that anymore. Or the Texans against Jacksonville, so I don't really like those anymore. So you know, let's face it, Washington defense does have some good pass rushing. They looked really good in that week 1, maybe not quite as good in week 2, but $2,400 price tag, like them much better than the other options on the table.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that Washington is so cheap. I get that Buffalo has a good offense, but the 10 sacks so far this year is among the league leaders. They're at home. We do know Josh Allen has a tendency at times to make some bad decisions and turn the ball over, as he did repeatedly in week 1 at only $2,400. I love this pick.
Exactly. So that is our DraftKings lineup. Would love to hear from you on both of our lineups. Eric, anything we want to say before we close out?
Yeah, I want to be responsive to our FFC community. Michael, they have said, hey, what about GPP? You want to give us your GPP lineup? It's just the amount that we try to put in one show. But I want to go ahead and give my favorite GPP stack of the week. And it's attacking. It's going to be a popular stack, but it's attacking that Minnesota LA Charger game. I'm getting a lot of the same feelings that I did in week 1 with that Miami Charger game in a dome in Minnesota. We talked already how much we love Justin Jefferson. So a Cousins to Justin Jefferson, where I think the decision tree is a little less on Minnesota, and then running that back. Some will do Keenan Allen, but I'd rather save a little money and go with Mike Williams, who also has a very high upside. Keep in mind that Austin Eckler likely will not play in this game. So I think that you're going to see even more passing from the Chargers. That is a great start to a GPP lineup. You can fill it in with some of the guys we liked in cash, and go from there.
Yep, no, like that, and like going with Cousins over Herbert just because his price tag is a little bit lower.
All right, everybody, we want to hear from you guys. Put in the comment section who your favorite week 3 NFL DFS players, and make sure you say the site that you like them on. Until next time, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Here are 2 videos that we think you'll enjoy.